Big news of the last 24 hours, Steve, is Joe Philbin, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, as an offensive coordinator for a Super Bowl winner, possibly Miami Dolphins. I'm going on memory here. Dallas Cowboys offensive line coach, not going by memory there. I did see that online. Last 3 seasons with the Cowboys. Guy that's been around and been successful.
Yeah, I mean, how exciting can this be to hire an offensive analyst or consultant or whatever the term is to help out Brian Hartline, who has been there and done that for the last 30 years. I mean, this guy's resume, it was pointed out to me that he worked for Tom Lichtenberg, who was a former Ohio State assistant at Ohio University in Lichtenberg's last season in 1994, and they were 0-11 that year, Ohio University was. And I can actually tell you, I was at a game that year. My father-in-law played at Ohio University and was there for a reunion, and we went down there to see the Miami game. May have been homecoming or something, and they got smoked, and Ohio State was beating Michigan State on that fateful Saturday. Watched that at the sports bar and then went over. But Joe Philbin was in the stadium that day at Ohio University, and eventually, as it went on, was at Northwestern with Gary Barnett in 95 and 96. 95, they won the Big Ten and went to the Rose Bowl and lost to USC. They won the Big Ten outright that year because Ohio State lost to Michigan. The two teams didn't play. And 96, they had a pretty good team as well. They moved on to Iowa and was there in 2002 when they shared the Big Ten championship with Ohio State. Again, they didn't play each other. Ohio State won the national championship that year, and Iowa won a share of the Big Ten at 8-0. And from that point on, he's been in the NFL for the last 2 decades. I mean, pretty much nonstop. As you guys said, Green Bay, predominantly offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, had a year or 2 in there as a tight ends coach, 4 seasons as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, 2012 to 2015, and then back to Green Bay, and then on to Dallas Cowboys as offensive line coach. And, just so much experience this guy brings. And when I think about it, it's twofold. One, you have Justin Fry, who's trying to break in 3 new starters on the offensive line. And so you bring in a veteran offensive line guru, as our friend Tim May likes to say, a guru. And this guy is going to help Justin Fry. It's kind of like the wet wash rag that you are going to squeeze every last drop of productivity out of this makeshift offensive line. And so that's the first thing. And guys, I came out of spring ball pretty much bullish on every facet of this football team, with the notable exception of the offensive line. So if Joe Philbin can help the offensive line get over the finish line, that's the one piece missing, dare I say it, from this team, not only playing for, but also winning, God forbid, winning the national championship in 2023. Because the quarterback, we don't know how good they are because we don't know, he played behind a crappy offensive line in the spring. So get the offensive line short away. That's the first thing. Second thing, rookie offensive coordinator Brian Hartline worked with Joe Philbin with the Miami Dolphins. I think that's where the entree came, that why this hire was made, that Hartline's like, this guy's out of work. This guy knows football. I know this guy personally. Let's get him in here to maximize what we can do this year. And he'll be sitting basically right over his shoulder during the meetings all week long, watching the practice tape, helping them devise the game plan. He'll do everything short of calling the plays probably with Brian Hartline on Saturday. And to me, you can't have enough people, good people around you who know what they're doing. And if there's anybody that a rookie offensive coordinator could use in a pinch like this, I'd say it's Joe Philbin. So this is a home run hire in every sense of the way. I don't know him, never met him, don't know if he's good, bad, or indifferent, but his experience, he was on a Super Bowl winner in 2010, Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl. I know that was 13, 14 years ago. I don't care. This guy's been there. He's done it. And this to me is if they can't win it with the players that they have and with the coaches and the support that they have, then at least they can say that Ryan Day pushed every last chip into the center of the table with the hand that he was dealt to try and bluff his way to a national championship. So, I commend Brian Hartline and Ryan Day for this one because, it takes a real man to say, hey, I need help. And they found it, I think, with Joe Philbin. I'm interested to hear what the others have to say.
Well, I think this is one of those hires that Nick Saban makes, and Ohio State fans are like, why doesn't Ohio State do that? And so you've got this guy, you've got Justin Fry, you've got Mike Soline, the GA, the offensive line GA, and now you add in Joe Philbin. Now, Joe Philbin can't do any on-field coaching, but he can do everything short of that. And as long as nobody's looking, he can do whatever else. But so you've got the more hands on this offensive line, the better, because we were talking about this on Buckeye Weekly podcast this week about how the concern coming out of spring was right tackle, and maybe that concern overshadowed what concern there should be at center and left tackle as well. Like this blinding light of who's it going to be at right tackle kind of drowns out what's going on at left tackle. Josh Fryer, is he good enough? And what's going on with center is Carson Hinsman the guy? Is it going to be Jacob James when he returns healthy? Is it going to be Victor Cutler once he knows the offense and is accustomed to playing center again after playing left tackle last year? So there's all of these different things that have to come together. And so another guy to help that come together is good. I do wonder, though, Joe Philbin being the head coach who cut Brian Hartline from the Dolphins, is this a revenge hire? Is this one of these things where Hartline's just going to be like, I need coffee, go get me coffee, and just really, really make his life miserable?
I don't think so.
Well, batting third here once again leaves me with nothing to say after Tony and Steve say pretty much everything. That would really be the long game there, to sit there, he gets his little office set up, everything else. He stocks his little mini fridge with Gatorades and everything else. It's like, oh, by the way, get out. That would be the longest of long games. But, all joking aside, I think this is a really solid hire. You are bringing in somebody who has those offensive line chops, and that's not necessarily a thing about Justin Fry. I mean, that's just a case of, Nick Saban, this is the perfect example. Nick Saban has surrounded himself with a deep roster of analysts and QC and GAs and everything else, and Ohio State was probably a little slower than some of the other major powers to really get into it. Now you go out and you get this guy, and it's just another person that can sit there and help with the planning and help with a lot of these types of things. And while you don't have the on-field coaching per se, there's still a lot of things that you can do and still stay compliant of the NC2A rules. So this is a good move and something that I see as as a net positive for Ohio State, as we're watching things and talking about the unfinished contracts of the Big Ten under Kevin Warren and everything else, and how people are going to have to sit there and account for all their nickels and dimes. Well, Ohio State's going to be dropping a few nickels and dimes to bring Joe Philbin in, but well worth it when you're near or at the top of the mountain.
Drew McFly is saying that Philbin is a good coach, but there's a reason the Cowboys didn't bring him back. Yeah, Ohio State's not asking him to be the offensive line coach. They're just asking him to help out with the offensive line and follow Justin Fry's lead. So, I don't think there is a bad spin you can put on this, because this is not Joe Philbin's offense. It is not, he's just here to make lives easier. As assistant coaches will say, like, my job is to assist the head coach. His job will be to assist the assistant coaches.